Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.dev, and welcome to another video in this Intro to React 2024 video. In this video, what I want to do is introduce the useRef hook, and we'll do that in the context of actually building a to-do list. So we can actually just kind of see a review of all the things that we've kind of learned about as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new folder for this lesson. So we're going to be calling this our to-do list. So again, you can find all of this in the repository linked in the video description. Okay, and this will be called a to-do list. Okay, wonderful. And let me go in there and just make our main to-do list component. So new file, to-do list .jsx. Okay, we're going to create a function that is our to-do list component that will return h1 to-do list. And then we will export default to-do list. Cool. So now what we'll do is we will remove array lesson from this file, since we've done that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to import to-do list. And that'll be sort of where we will work out of today. Okay, cool. So we can see that to-do list is, again, part of our app component, because, again, app component is the root of everything. Okay, and then we'll just kind of work from our to-do list component. So the idea is we want to build a to-do list. So first, let's just think about sort of what we would expect to see. Okay, so if I was thinking about a to-do list, I would probably have a div here. Actually, let's make it a main tag. Okay, now in this main tag, I'd expect there to be sort of two sections. Okay, there's going to be the section where we display to-dos. So I will create a section tag, and we'll give that an ID of to-do display. Okay, and then I'm going to create another section tag that represents sort of where we'll put our form. So ID to-do form. Okay, awesome. Now, one thing, so I started thinking about sort of the state for this. Okay, what is the information we're tracking? To-dos, right? And to-dos change. They're going to change. So technically this component should re-render whenever our list of to-dos changes. So chances are that should be state. So in order to use that, I need to import the useState function. So I'm going to import useState from React. Okay, so we can always import our hooks that way. And I'm going to create some state. So const to-dos and set to-dos equals useState. And that's just going to start off as an empty array. So we're going to have no to-dos to begin with. Okay, awesome. Now what's going to happen is eventually we're going to want to have be able to update those to-dos. So we're going to want a function that allows us to add a to-do. So I'm going to say const add to-do. Okay, add to-dos equals a function that should take in a new to-do. Okay. And we're going to say, hey, take that new to-do. And then we're going to create an object. Okay, that is going to basically say text, which will be the new to-do, because we're going to pass in a string. Okay, so basically the idea is that this function take a string, add a to-do. Okay, a new to-do, and then we're going to have whether it's completed or not as false, because again, it's not going to start out as completed. Okay, and I'm not doing anything with this, so I got to save this somewhere. So const to-do equals this new object. And then we're going to take the array of we're going to create a new copy of the array of to-dos. So let's say const new to-dos. Okay, is going to equal a new array that's a copy of the old list of to-dos. Okay, adding the new to do. So we add in the new to do. Okay, and then we're going to set the state. So set to dos equals new to dos. Okay, awesome. Okay. Oh, not set. Oops, did that the wrong way. So it should be set to dos new to dos. There we go. So again, just to comment this. Okay, again, what we're going to do is we're going to create the new to do object. Okay, so and then we're going to do is make a copy of to-do's state with new to do, and then we'll set the state to the new array. Okay, so essentially anything we added to do, this will make sure that it's a new array. That's why we're making the copy of the array, so that way it triggers a re-render. Okay, wonderful. Now, again, we want to not just do this all in one component, so I'd like to have a component to display, and I'd like to have a component for my form. So let me actually just build these components out. So let's see here, new file for to do display. Okay. I wish we'll just say, yeah, to do display is fine. .jsx and to do form. To do form.jsx. Okay. So then in this case, what I'll do here is function to do display. Okay. Return to do display, or return h1 to do display, and then we export default to do display. Okay, we'll just do the same thing with the form. To do form. Okay. And this will say to do form. Okay, perfect. So now let's bring this into our to-do list component. So let's import to do display and import to do form. Okay. And essentially what I want here is I want to do form to show up here. And I'm going to want, what we're going to do here is, here's what we'll map the to do. So here what we'll do is we would say, hey, new, or actually to dos dot map. And for each to do, and again, we'll pass in the index as well. What I want to do is return a to do display component. Okay. Where we pass in the to do as a prop. We pass the index as a prop. And then we'll also use the index as the key. And yes. And then I want to close that component down. And there we go. Okay, so again, just to make that a little bit easier to read, let's do this. Okay, so there should render a to-do display for each to-do, which we don't have any yet. So we need to create a form to add to-dos. So I'm going to want to send this function down, this add to-dos function down to the form, so that way we can add a to-do. So I'm going to say, hey, add to-do equals add to-dos. Okay, awesome. Okay, so now that'll have that as a prop, and I can go build out the form. Okay, so now in this case, we're going to want to have a form. In this case, I'm just going to keep it real simple. We'll just have a div, which is just going to have an input. Okay, and input of type text. Okay, and then I am going to want a button of type, add to do. Okay, cool. So now here's the thing. I need a way to be able to refer to this DOM node, and I don't want to use query select and whatnot. React has its own built-in way for me to be able to create a variable with that DOM node. So for that, we're going to want to import the useRef hook. Okay, the useRef hook allows us to create a reference to that DOM node. So now here in to-do form, what we do is we create a ref. So we'll say const input ref equals useRef. And we always pass a null as the argument there. It doesn't really matter. Okay, but then what happens is that on any DOM node, I can now put in a ref prop and assign it any of these refs, any variable that has a ref inside of it, to that. So now this variable input ref refers to that input node. Okay, and I can take advantage of that because now I can create a function, okay, that basically says, okay, const, button click or handle click. So when you click this button, what's going to happen is we're going to go grab the text from the input. Okay, so we're going to say const text equals input ref dot current. So the current is the node. So basically input ref dot current equals this input node. So the actual input node. So again, if you haven't done DOM, like plain vanilla DOM or jQuery with JavaScript yet, you should be doing that first before you do React to help understand some of these concepts. Okay, now what I want is the value of that node. So that's gonna grab that value. Then what I can do is I can use the props, but I gotta pass in props. So let me just declare props right up here. Okay, and I can use props.add to do that function, pass it the text. Okay, and then what I can do is take this and reset the form. So I can just sit there and make that equal nothing again. So that way the form empties out. Cool. And then we'll add this event to the button. Say, hey, whenever you click on this button, it's going to run that handle click function. Okay, and again, that's going to end up taking the text of the input. Okay, I'll take event out of here since I don't use it. Perfect. So let's try this out. Eat breakfast. Okay, and see, we are displaying a to-do. Okay, the only problem is that it doesn't really display anything right now. Okay, so let's go over to our to-do display, and now we decide how we want to display the to-do. Okay, and bottom line, we'll just do it this way. We'll say return, we'll say if to-do.completed. And actually, that should be props.todo. So props, if props.todo.completed. Okay, so basically if it's completed, what we want to do is return, okay, in H1, okay, that says the text of the to-do, so we'll say props.todo text, I think. Let me see. Let me go back to our to-do list function here. And we on our object over here, it's text. Okay, it is text. You see it right there that the to-do object should have a text property. So to-do.text. And what I want to do is style this. Style color red. Okay, so essentially it should be red if it's already been completed. Actually, we should be green. Okay, and then else, what I'd like to return is this, but red. And then we take off this, although I need a return right here. Okay, cool. So again, basically, as each to-do comes in, I'll say I eat breakfast. See, I get eat breakfast, eat lunch. Okay, and again, I'm handling the form by using a ref to grab the input. It works really well for like 1 or 2 inputs. we'll see in a future video how to handle like a many form input or many input form. Okay. And yeah, so basically the next step would be to just add a button to basically mark those as complete. Okay, so first we have to create a function to kind of update the array. Okay, so in that case, basically what should happen is we should have a function that says const complete to do. And what this function should do is it should take in the index of that to do. Okay, and basically what it will do is that it is going to get the to-do from the array, or actually create a copy of the array. So const new to-dos equals ... to-dos, create the copy of to-dos so that we can update it. Then we're going to say new to-dos, okay, at that index, its completed property is now true. Okay, and then we update, then we set the state. So set to-dos to the new to-dos. Okay, now we want this to happen when you click on a to-do. So that would have to be handled by the display. So I'm going to pass this function down to to-do display. So I'm going to say, hey, completed equals complete to-do. Okay, and I pass that function down as a prop called completed. And now what I can do, go back to to-do display, since this should have the prop now, I can be like, okay, hey, when you click on this specific one, so on click equals, and then what we do is we pass in an arrow function that then calls props.completed and passes in props.index. Okay, so now when I click, so if I go eat breakfast, when it gets created, it's not completed. So this is what's rendered. Okay, the red version. But then if I click on it, it turns green. Okay, and I can keep doing that. Yeah, so now it's fully functioning. So there we saw a little mix of all the things that we learned, all in sort of one nice little easy to use to-do list. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. My name is Alex Merced. And again, just to reinforce the useRef hook here, all this is doing is making it that I can refer to this HTML tag in my JavaScript. So see, I'm able to use this to refer to that input node so I can grab the text. So I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good one.